Hi and welcome back. One of the ways that I learned the best is by having to actually do something or figure something out. This video and the next two are going to be on the same topic. It's going to be on a tractor that got sent to us from another branch. They were having trouble figuring out what was going on. It had severe low power problems. I'll get to that in a second. And I worked with them on the phone for about 2 or 3 weeks and had them checking everything I could think of to check. And they even sent me some short data logs, and it ran so bad they weren't able to get really long data logs. So between all that, I really couldn't tell them what I thought was wrong. I just didn't have enough information that put the pieces together for me. So we rarely do this, but I had them throw the tractor on a landau, and they brought it over to us from where they're at. They're a couple states away. So anyway, we had the tractor last week. We worked on it, and we were kind of making no headway. And we double checked a lot of things that they had already checked, and everything they checked, they did a good job on. It was all the way they said it was. So now we're scratching our heads. And one of the dangers about when you start scratching your head is that you start getting harebrained ideas about what's wrong. So we try to stay scientific, we try to stay analytical, and we let ourselves get a little bit outside the box. You got to do that once in a while, but scientifically outside the box. So we had 4 codes, 3 were active, 1 wasn't. I'm going to, in my next shot, you'll see a little document that's got the SPN and FMI values, so you can look those up. You guys have homework. I want you to look the codes up, and I want you to, and you can Google it to find out what they are. And then I want you to kind of think what it could be. And I'm going to tell you what we checked. And then next week, I'll give you some more information that I got after the vehicle got to us. And I'll tell you a little more. And then you'll have a second shot at it. And then the third video, I'll tell you what was actually wrong and how we fixed it. So what do you need to know? You need to know that the vehicle is running good, running okay normally, and it started to get a little bit doggy on the hills and then worse and worse. And pretty soon it got to the place where if the guy started pulling, the power just go away. And he'd end up always on the berm with his 4-ways on. It got so bad that when he was pulling an empty trailer, he couldn't get over 35 miles an hour on flat ground. If he went down a long hill, he could get up to maybe 65. When he started up the other side, the transmission, which was an ultra shift automatic, it's dropping gears about as fast as it can, even though he's got his foot to the floor on the throttle. And his complaint was, I don't really hear the turbo like I used to. It doesn't have any power. Okay, so that's what my description was. I had them do some data logger running for me, and I got an ECM image. So from the ECM image, you're going to see the faults that were in there on the next slide. So let's take a look at that, take a look at the faults, think about what I told you, and then I'll tell you a couple more things. The charge air system was tight. There was no boost leaks on it anywhere. The EGR cooler was in good shape. The EGR system was not leaking. The EGR valve was working properly. The EGR flow was correct. We had severe low boost. There's a fault for severe low boost. And we had active D rates for torque and speed. And we had an active fault for the after treatment differential pressure output is erratic or incorrect. And then we had faults for the boost being very low. That was inactive, but the after treatment pressure outlet was active. And then the 2 D rates, 37, 14, and 12, which is torque and RPM, they were active. Now let me tell you what the branch did. They put on a new differential pressure sensor. They put on a new after treatment diesel particulate filter. They put on a new intake manifold pressure temperature sensor or boost sensor. They replaced the entire turbocharger. They replaced any piping that were leaking. They replaced the exhaust gaskets on the engine. They installed all new charge air boots. They installed a new air compressor hoses and all new clamps. And it still had the same problem. So that's when we got it sent to us. So here we go. Take a look at the faults. I'll be up there for a minute. Write them down. You can Google them, or if you've got a place, you go and look them up, and then think about what it could be. And then next time we'll move on from there. Thanks for joining me on Earl Splendor. Okay, here's your SPN and the FMI number fault codes. And on the right, I put down whether they were active or inactive in the ECM's image. And by the way, when we did a road test, these same faults looked just the same, all one count.